the haunted road trip. It was supposed to be an exciting weekend getaway. Jake, Sarah, Mia, and Tom had planned a road trip through the mountains, a chance to escape the daily grind and enjoy some adventure. The scenic route promised breathtaking views, and they had mapped out their stops along the way. But everything changed on the second night. They were driving through a thick forest when the GPS suddenly recalculated. It led them off the main highway and down a narrow, winding road. At first, they thought nothing of it, just a detour. As the road twisted deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to close in around them, casting eerie shadows in the dimming light. "Are we sure this is the right way?" Mia asked, her voice tinged with unease. Jake, who was driving, checked the GPS again. "This is what it says. Probably just a shortcut." After what felt like hours on the isolated road, they finally spotted a small motel, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. The neon sign flickered dimly, casting an unsettling red glow across the parking lot. The building itself looked old, with paint peeling off the walls and a rickety porch that groaned under the weight of the wind. "We should just crash here for the night," Sarah suggested. "We can get back on the road tomorrow." Despite their reservations, the group was too tired to keep driving. They parked and walked inside the motel's dimly lit lobby. A strange chill hung in the air, and the old man at the front desk gave them an unnerving smile as he handed over the room keys. "Room 7, he said, his voice gravelly. "Be careful, it's an old place." The friends exchanged uneasy glances but shrugged it off. They settled into their room, which was as rundown as the exterior. Outdated furniture, a flickering light bulb, and a musty smell that seemed to cling to the air. As the night wore on, strange things started happening. At first, it was small, almost unnoticeable. The TV turned itself on and off, objects seemed to shift positions when no one was looking, and the floor creaked as if someone was walking in the hallway, despite the motel being completely empty. Jake, always the skeptic, tried to laugh it off. "It's just an old building. Of course, it's going to make noises." But the others weren't so sure. Sarah swore she heard whispering coming from the walls, faint but unmistakable. And Mia noticed something even more disturbing. The motel didn't show up on any map. When she pulled up her phone's GPS, there was no record of it existing. By midnight, the unease in the room had turned into full-blown fear. Tom had gone outside to grab something from the car, but hadn't returned. After 15 minutes of waiting, the group began to worry. "Where is he?" Mia asked, pacing near the window. Jake and Sarah went out to look for him, but when they reached the parking lot, there was no sign of Tom or their car. "What the hell?" Jake muttered, his breath visible in the cold night air. The car was gone, and Tom's phone was out of service. The old man at the front desk was nowhere to be found, and the motel, which had felt abandoned when they first arrived, now seemed entirely different, more sinister. The wind howled outside, and the trees surrounding the building cast long, crooked shadows that seemed to move on their own. Desperate, they searched the motel for Tom, checking every room, every corridor. As they wandered deeper into the building, it became clear that something was very, very wrong. The hallways seemed to stretch farther than they should, twisting into confusing loops. They passed doors that hadn't been there before, and behind some of them, they could hear faint voices, whispers that echoed from the walls. Mia's hands shook as she opened one of the doors. Inside was a small, dark room filled with old photographs hanging on the walls. Each one showed people, smiling families, happy couples, but something about the images was disturbing. As they looked closer, they realized many of the people in the photographs looked familiar. Too familiar. One of the photos showed a man standing outside the motel entrance, smiling. It was Tom. "How is this possible?" Sarah gasped, backing away from the photo. This can't be real." As panic set in, they tried to leave the motel, but no matter how many doors they opened or hallways they ran down, they always ended up back in the same place. The motel was a maze, and they were trapped inside it. Finally, they burst through a door that led them back into the lobby, only to find the old man waiting for them. "You shouldn't have come here," he said in a slow, deliberate tone. "This place, it's not on any map for a reason." "Where's Tom?" Jake demanded. The old man's eyes darkened. "Some people come here and never leave." Suddenly, the lights flickered out, plunging them into darkness. The last thing they heard before everything went silent was the sound of the front door creaking open. When the sun rose the next morning, there was no trace of the motel. The parking lot was empty, the neon sign gone, and where the building had stood was nothing but an overgrown patch of trees and earth. Tom was never found. And when the others returned to town and told their story, no one believed them. They couldn't even find the road that had led them to the motel in the first place. It was as if the entire place had been wiped from existence. Years later, Jake still dreams of the motel. In those dreams, Tom is always standing by the front desk, smiling, waiting for him to check in.